Coming up on the next episode of Zuzu All Grown Up.
Look, Daddy, teacher says every time a bell rings, an angel gets his wings.
You're now listening to Zuzu All Grown Up.
She's been featured in more than 20 films from the early days of film and television.
He is a psychotherapist and her loving husband.
Together, they are on a mission to brighten your day and your life.
It's a time to smile, a time to laugh, a time to expect more.
It's time to get inspired with your hosts, Karolyn Grimes and Dr. Chris Brunel.
It's time to meet Zuzu, all grown up.
Do you believe that life is wonderful in principle, but for some reason just isn't so consistently in practice? Every life will have its ups and downs. But have you ever thought that if there were only more people around you encouraging, uplifting, and even inspiring you, then life would be more fulfilling? If only people like George and Mary Bailey were in your inner circle, then life could truly be wonderful all the time? If so, we've got good news for you, because you can find such people on this podcast and at zuzunetwork.com. This podcast is the vision of Karolyn Grimes, Zuzu, and Dr. Chris Brunel, illustrating how the timeless message of It's a Wonderful Life can be and is applied to our modern lives and situations. Indeed, when you take that message to heart, your life will become immeasurably more wonderful. Visit us at zuzunetwork.com and listen to this podcast series to learn more about how. Now sit back, relax, and get ready to enjoy another episode of Zuzu, All Grown Up. In this special episode of Zuzu, All Grown Up, and throughout this season, we'll honor Dr. Leo Buscaglia, affectionately known as the Hug Doctor, by exploring his profound teachings on love, self-acceptance, and positive connection. We'll delve into the impact his legacy continues to have on countless lives. Join us today for some of the poignant stories and reflections from those who were influenced by his work and share in his mission to spread love and hugs to the world. That's today on this very special edition of Zuzu, All Grown Up.
On today's Valentine's edition of Zuzu, All Grown Up, Joyce and Barry Vissell of the Shared Heart Foundation join us again to talk about their time with the Doctor of Love himself, Dr. Leo Buscaglia. His message of love and acceptance swept the nation in the 1980s. Barry and Joyce are here to tell us why that message is as relevant as ever and how love can win the day, not just on Valentine's, but every other day of the year. Their highly sought-after couples retreats and popular books have strengthened many couples over multiple decades. They have a message that no one who loves or wants to love should miss. We'll also have a special message from a celebrity couple who has been married for more than 7 decades. That is dedicated to all the married folks out there this Valentine's. That's coming up today on Zuzu, All Grown Up.
Get ready for miracles. Get ready for Zuzu, All Grown Up.
We're back. Joyce and Barry Vissell are with us today again to share the wisdom of Dr. Leo Buscaglia. Barry and Joyce, welcome to the show. Karolyn, let's get the interview started. Over to you.
Barry and Joyce, you are of the Shared Heart Foundation, and thank you for joining us today. Joyce, when did you and Barry first meet?
We met when we were 18 years old at Hartwick College in upstate New York.
1964.
Well, would you tell me how you both first encountered Leo?
All right. So we were living in Nashville, Tennessee. Barry was maybe second year medical school, and I was a public health nurse. And we had a friend who was having a party. And this woman said, you really should come because this amazing man, Leo Buscaglia, is coming to the party. And so we didn't do very many social things. Barry was pretty much studying all the time, but we went, and we had never, ever met a human being like Leo. It was amazing, the love and joy that was emanating from him. And we walked in, and he right away gave us a big hug and just wanted to know our names and said beautiful things about us. And I don't think we realized that a human being like that existed. I mean, we come from loving, our parents are loving, our family's loving, but the love that came from Leo was beyond anything that we'd ever experienced.
How did this transpire into the Love 101 class? How did it come to be? What did Dr. Leo share regarding his motivations?
I would more like to tell, as a segue, how we got from Nashville to LA and how I got to be his graduate student.
We were in Nashville for 2 years. Joyce especially felt a strong desire to continue her education, get a master's degree. And I was wanting to transfer to a different school. And just even knowing that Leo, who we had met for one evening, was living in Los Angeles, I actually applied to USC and UCLA to finish my medical career. And I went to LA and interviewed at both schools. And on the way home in the airplane from LA to Nashville, I ended up sitting next to this man in the plane. And it was just 2 seats. And I was in one seat, he was in the other seat. And we started talking. And I said that I'm considering transferring to USC. And he said, I just got a job at USC. I said, we met a very amazing professor from USC. And he said, who is it? And I said, Leo Buscaglia. And he said, that's who I got hired by. I'm in charge of selecting 10 master's candidate students to be in a program led by Leo. I told him about my wife, and in the spot, he said, she's going to be our first master's degree student. And he accepted her on the plane with me without even seeing her.
Barry came home, and I just had this huge desire for more education. And people would say, well, what? Do you want a master's? I had a bachelor's in nursing degree. Do you want to get a master's in nursing? I'm like, I don't know. And I don't really care. I just want more education. A solid year, just these 10 students being with Leo and learning from him. It was the best education I'd ever gotten in my life. It was extraordinary.
It was actually a master's degree in love.
He just taught us everything. We didn't know where we were going to live. And we found this really super inexpensive apartment right on a railroad track. I mean, not right on, but really close. And as it turns out, Leo lived just maybe 3 or 4 houses down from that. So we were his neighbors.
One amazing miracle after another, just bringing us into proximity. And we really learned a lot from him.
So for that 1 year, I had almost daily contact with him. It was extraordinary. And then I was finished with my degree and I went on to get a job. But since we were neighbors, we still saw him at least once or twice a week, I'd say.
Right. And then there was the love class, which was your original question, which was something Leo had in his heart to do quite a while. He wanted to go deeper with the students, to just break down all the walls and barriers that normally are in education and just really get to know students.
So my classes with him were very small. It was just the 10 students, but he opened up in the evening this love class, and it grew and it grew, and it was huge, and it was just fabulous. And newspapers heard about it, and it was written up, and it became this amazing thing that was happening in an academic university. And I was actually waiting for an appointment with Leo, and I was sitting outside his office with his office assistant, and the president and the dean came into his office, and I couldn't help but hear. It wasn't like I had my ear to the door, but the noise was really loud, and they were telling him he could no longer do his love class, that it was an embarrassment to the school, and he had to stop right away. And he said, but the students love it, and it's growing and growing. And they said, we don't care. It is an embarrassment. This is an academic institution. you have to end your love class. And I think it had been going on for maybe, I know at least 2 years at that point. And I walked in for my appointment right after that and thinking that he probably would be so sad. I said, I'm sorry, I couldn't help but overhearing everything. How are you feeling? And this is what he said, which has stayed with me my whole life. He said, I feel very sorry for them because I have so much love to give and they do not want that love.
We still carry that lesson whenever we feel like rejected by somebody. We remember Leo. And we come back to, oh, I feel sorry for them because they're not accepting our love, right? I'm wanting to know your interest in Leo. Like, how are you connected with all of this?
I'm married to a psychologist. Back in the day, Leo was big and it was all about love. And that was one of the things that actually we talked about was some of Leo's philosophies. And that was 20 some years ago, 26 years ago, I think. And that's how we got started. That was something very meaningful for me, that's for sure. If you had to boil down in a nutshell Dr. Leo's teachings, what would you say?
He was all about people being real and vulnerable with their feelings. And this was
1970, 1971 that we were really close with.
Yeah.
them.
So people were not talking about it. At that time, you put on your best face. You didn't let anyone know anything about you. And he was about be real. Let the sadness out. Let the pain out. If you're angry, let that out. Let the joy out. Let everything out. He loved people so deeply. And part of the way that he loved is that he would look at people deeply and see their beauty and express it. I'd never had that experience before. And I'm a really sensitive person, and I was kind of shamed for it growing up. In the beginning of my coursework with him, he looked at me and he said, your sensitivity is so beautiful, and you're going to be helping so many people because you're so sensitive. I'd never, ever heard those words before. To me, that's how he loved, is that he saw beauty and he spoke it.
He brought love into everyday living. What Joyce was saying about being authentic, I have to be really vulnerable right now, okay? He would come to me and he would say, Barry, do you notice when Joyce is feeling sad, she shows it on her face? And do you notice that when she's upset, you can actually see it in her whole face? And then he said to me, Barry, you are phony. That was a shocker. You smile when you're sad. You smile when you're angry. So how can I trust that smile? And he was right. He was right. And I had to learn, probably the biggest lesson of my life, to be real and not to hide what we call the darker feelings, our sadness, our anger, our pain, our suffering. And as things would happen, I had an affair with Joyce's best friend. And I told her right away, and Joyce saw it coming. Remember, we were very young. Okay.
25?
We were 25.
Yeah.
Joyce left, okay? She left the marriage. She was done. She said, you just crossed the biggest line. And she went and lived with Leo. I went into the darkest, most painful time of my life. And I realized how much I was missing by not having Joyce in my life. I was a fourth-year medical student, and I was hardly functioning at USC in the hospital, LA County. And I went the 3 houses down to Leo, and I knocked on his door. I didn't know Joyce was staying there. She didn't want me to know where she was. So Leo saw that it was me outside the door, and he opened it a crack because Joyce was right behind him. He slipped out the door and he looked at me, and I was just crying and I was feeling so much pain. And he just opened his arms and held me and said, Barry, you're finally real. Yeah, that was a pivotal moment in my life. Leo's teachings, they live on in our work, and in all of our workshops and seminars. We teach authenticity and vulnerability as a true path. Every one of our feelings is important.
he gave us these amazing books in graduate school to read, and one books that no one ever heard of. And I'm not even sure if this is in print anymore. It's called Why Am I Afraid to Tell
You Who I Am?
And by John Powell. Short, tiny little book with a couple sentences on each page, but the essence of it, if you want to know people, you have to first tell them exactly who you are. You have to reveal your realness, and then they will be free to open up as well. Our work is leading workshops, which we've done, well, I don't know, shortly after that, we started leading workshops. And that's how we lead, is to be as vulnerable and as real. We don't ever want people to put us on a pedestal. This is such a beautiful thing that he used to say. Everybody wanted to be like Leo. Everybody that met him, like, I want to be just, and some people would come say, I want to be just like you. And he would take them by the shoulders like this, like this. And he would act, because he's so passionate, and he'd shake people and he'd go, you can never, ever be like me, ever, but you can be the best you can ever be, which was such a powerful message. Don't try and be like him. Be your own beautiful self.
We'll join Karolyn and Chris in just a moment with more of Zuzu All Grown Up.
First, an important message.
Start your morning right with premium coffee roasts available at ZuzuNetwork.com and drink them in your Zuzu All Grown Up coffee mug. Also perfect for tea and hot chocolate.
Stay inspired throughout the day with the same gratitude journal used by Karolyn and Chris, and check out t-shirts, hats, books, Christmas keepsakes, and more at ZuzuNetwork.com/shop.
Are you wondering whether to sell or donate the car you no longer need or want? Consider that. Donating it to a legitimate, legally recognized nonprofit organization, not only will you receive a tax deduction, but you'll be contributing to a worthy cause. Finding a worthy nonprofit organization can be time-consuming and even a bit stressful. I'm here to present to you one of the most amazing, legitimate 501c3 nonprofit organizations in the world. The United Breast Cancer Foundation. The UBCF provides screenings, treatments, aftercare services, educational materials, as well as patient and family assistance. We ask that you help in that mission by donating your unwanted or unused vehicle to the UBCF. Simply call 888-842-5505. The process is fast and easy. Call 888-842-5505. 888-842-5505. Help us in our mission and get a tax deduction. Call 888-842-5505. Thank you for your support.
A careless driver can change your life in an instant. Do you know what to do or who to call? If you've been injured in a motor vehicle accident and don't have an attorney, call Auto Accident Help Desk for a free consultation. We can answer all of your questions and estimate the potential value of your case. Call Auto Accident Help Desk and connect with an expert personal injury attorney.
Call 800-297-9766. 800-297-9766.
Don't worry how to handle your medical bills, lost wages, and pain. We will get you the money you deserve.
They got me way more than the insurance company offered.
The consultation is free, and you don't pay any legal fees unless we win or settle your case. Make the smart call if you've been injured in an auto accident. Call Auto Accident Help Desk for a free legal consultation.
Call 800-297-9766. 800-297-9766. 800-297-9766.
Auto Accident Help Desk.
Join Zuzu's network today at ZuzuNetwork.com/join.
Karolyn is creating an international network of aspiring angels, everyday people who believe that they can help make the world a better place by making life better for even just one other person.
Let us know you want to earn your wings at ZuzuNetwork.com/join, and Karolyn and Chris will send you inspirational material to support you in your journey.
We're back with more Zuzu All Grown Up.
In the period that we knew him, he was not famous. He was just the USC professor.
He was locally famous because of the love class.
Yes. He became a national sensation. 5 of his books were on the New York Times bestseller list at the same time. That has never happened before or since.
Right.
Like unheard of. 10,000 people would come to every talk. We didn't have much contact with him during that time. We just had all this wonderful contact with him before he was famous.
Right.
But I don't think the fame changed him. He remained this beautiful, humble man. This was also in the first year at USC when I was a student. The education building was older. This was before they asked him not to do the love class anymore. As part of the master's degree, it wasn't 100% with Leo, but I'd say it was 90%. So I had a different class, which was on like the third floor. But the thing about this building is the elevator was so slow. It was a very, very old building, and the elevators would open so slowly and they would close so slowly, and they'd only go to one floor. And then you do the same thing again. And so to get to the 10th floor, you really needed time. And Leo had a heart condition, high blood pressure, and he couldn't take the stairs. I normally just would run up the stairs and run down, but I saw him waiting at the elevator. I'm like, oh, wow, a chance to be with him. So I waited at the elevator, and he told me that he had a very important meeting on the 10th floor. The president and the dean and other important people were coming. And he said, I want to be a little early. I want to be able to greet everyone when they come to the meeting. So we got in the elevator. We're so involved in, I can't remember what. And
it's probably about love.
It probably was. And we got to the third floor, and we were so engrossed in the talking that we both got off the elevator. And then we noticed that the elevator was going up. The only one. That elevator had to go all the way to the top, and then all the way down the 10 floors, down to 2 basements, up again. Now that was going to take, at the very minimum, over 10 minutes. He was going to be late to his meeting, and he didn't have the option to do the stairs. It was a mistake. He said, you go to your class. I don't want you to be late. So I did. And as I was walking away, I thought, maybe I should go back and comfort him. I peeked around the corner, and he had his arms around him. He was all alone. He had his arms around himself, and he was rocking back and forth, talking to himself. And he said, oh, Leo, you're so sweet, and you're such a good person. You made a mistake, but you're still such a good person. I love you, Leo, so much. I tell people that whenever people make a mistake, I tell them that. And I say, you can turn that mistake into a chance to really give yourself love and acceptance, because that's what he did. And it wasn't like an audience was watching, and nobody, he didn't know I was watching. That's who he was.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Just to think that we have to practice and work hard to love ourselves. But it's really important.
It's really important.
Yeah. Yes, it is. I can see that. My goodness.
So we have this friend in Italy. His books were printed in Italian, all kinds of different languages. And this man got the book in Italy.
So he's in his 50s now. So
maybe 20 or 15 years ago. Yeah. This man is so much like Leo. And he got a lot of criticism for who he was. And he read Leo's book. It gave him permission to be who he is. He said it totally changed his life. Just one book. Now a lot of people don't know about him. And I wish his teachings were just everywhere, because they're so amazing.
I think the world is more open now in terms of being ready to hear his message. The people who are reading his books now, they get it quicker. They're more open to it. Whereas, back when they were written, it was almost like a shock for people. But, we like Joyce was saying about vulnerability, people know that to be okay with your inadequacies makes you actually more human and more lovable. Mm-hmm. So people get it now. And so his books are in some ways easier to open to.
Mm-hmm. Tell me more about the Shared Heart Foundation. This is the organization that you've started. Statement is changing the world one heart at a time.
Exactly.
I love that. That's just beautiful.
That's been since mid-80s. Okay. And it was after we wrote our first book, which was The Shared Heart. So we just used that name to start this organization. And yes, basically everything that Leo tried to do also, which was, if you open one heart, it's like throwing that pebble into a still lake, and the ripples go out and touch eventually everyone, just helping one person.
It's a good analogy because you can just see it grow and grow and grow.
Yeah.
Kind of what It's a Wonderful Life does, the movie, it touches lives. And,
Yes, that movie opens people who have seen it for the first time now. They'll see it and it's just as powerful.
So many people we know, it's their very favorite movie.
Yeah.
They watch it every single year, including us.
Yeah.
And your part is amazing.
I know.
well, I was very fortunate to be granted that part. Do you offer classes or how does this work now?
We call it retreats,
Okay.
workshops, because it's not about us teaching people. It's about giving people an opportunity to expand and open their hearts. We do one-on-one and couples counseling, individual counseling. That's like our day job, right? But then when we have a chance to be with a group of people for a weekend or longer, it's all about deepening in love and opening our hearts. And what we've seen is when one person really opens their heart, and often it's about being really vulnerable and revealing to a group of people something that they're ashamed of in themselves, and being met by nothing but love, right? When we're met in our vulnerability by love, it changes us. And so that, I would say, that's our favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
What a blessing in your lives to be able to do that.
Yeah, 57 years together here.
57 years. Oh my goodness.
But also, we've loved writing. This 10th book basically is our story, including all the stories about Leo. It's called A Couple of Miracles.
That's incredible. And I know that you've touched a lot of lives yourselves too, and that you're earning your wings, by golly. If Leo were alive, what would be the first thing he would say?
If Leo were alive today,
Oh, if we got to see him in person, we were just these young people going along this medical route, not really seeing anything else. And he opened our lives.
Right.
He opened our hearts. He opened our lives. And I am so grateful. Tell us he's proud of us. We've carried on his work.
Yeah, it's true.
I think he would thank us too.
I mean, the first thing he would do is if he walked in the room, he would hold us.
We'll join Karolyn and Chris in just a moment with more of Zuzu All Grown Up.
First, an important message.
To find out more about the organization featured in today's episode or a previous episode, and to learn more about how you can help, go to zuzunetwork.com/beanangel.
Helping your inner circle prepare for emergencies can start in many ways. Put together an emergency kit with WIPE. Create a family communication plan with your tita. Remind Bai to keep a backup battery charged. It all starts with a simple step, telling those you care about to be ready for the worst. So start a conversation and plan for emergencies together. Get more tips at ready.gov/start. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
This is an important announcement for anyone who wants health insurance, even if you missed the deadline. Right now, you can get the health insurance you and your family need from top insurance providers, even if you have pre-existing conditions or no insurance at all. The Plus Benefits Health Insurance toll-free number has been extended to help anyone who wants health insurance coverage now, or if you need a better plan or a lower price. Call Plus Benefits Health Insurance now at 800-332-1993. The call is 100% free and the help is real. Call 800-332-1993. That's 800-332-1993.
Imagine having all the money you need for retirement, all the income, every month, guaranteed. That's Secure Future Investor, an indexed annuity tied to growth in the stock market, but without any risk of loss ever. It's guaranteed money for life income, no matter how long you live. Call 888-288-7088, 888-288-7088. Sponsored by GP Agency, Inc., Raleigh, NC. Licensed in all states. Performance may vary. Consult your financial professional before making an investment decision.
1 out of 8 women in the United States will be diagnosed with breast cancer in her lifetime. And the chances are you know at least one person who's been personally affected. But right now, you can help. It's simple. Donate your unwanted vehicle, RV, or trailer to the United Breast Cancer Foundation. It's the easiest way to contribute to one of the nation's leading charitable organizations. The process is fast, easy, and free. Not only will you be helping, but you'll also receive a tax deduction. The United Breast Cancer Foundation offers an array of programs and services that help and support families and individuals dealing with breast cancer. But we can't do it alone. We need your help. Simply give us a call to get started, and we'll schedule a pickup date that is convenient for you. If you have any questions you would like answered before initiating the donation process, please feel free to call us toll-free at 800-324-6218. That's 800-324-6218. 800-324-6218.
Zuzu's Book Club features recommendations from Zuzu herself on books she loves and thinks you will love also. All of the books that the club reads, fiction and nonfiction, are inspirational and uplifting. Folks, this is a life-enhancing club to be part of. You can sign up for free at zuzunetwork.com/book club. That's zuzunetwork.com/book club. Today's recommended book is A Couple of Miracles. One couple, more than a few miracles. Written by today's guests, Joyce and Barry Vissell. In the book, they string together miracle after miracle in their love story and more than 75 years of life. You can find out how to get a copy of the book at www.zuzunetwork.com/book club. Watch a video clip of today's episode at www.instagram.com/Zuzu, all grown up. That's www.instagram.com/Zuzu, all grown up. Then click on the Reels tab from the top of the center of the page. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at www.instagram.com/Zuzu, all grown up. That's www.instagram.com/Zuzu, all grown up. Catch up on past episodes and discover currently premiering and upcoming episodes as well, and get helpful links and exclusive clips from our recordings. That's www.instagram.com/Zuzu, all grown up.
This is Zuzu, all grown up.
To what extent is Dr. Leo's message shared, and to what extent is it perhaps a different message that reflects your own uniqueness as humans?
What he wanted is for each person to contact themselves deeply enough to share their own way, right? Because, I mean, who we are is not Leo. We have a unique way of talking, of being, and of sharing. We're a couple, and we often do everything together. We're ourselves.
We do a lot of work helping couples to come together and come into this place of love. I think that's our unique spin.
When was the last time you spoke to Leo?
We received a card. He had moved to another state. He was no longer working because his health conditions. And we received a card that he had passed, and that on a certain date, we were to go out to the sunset and just think of him and feel our gratitude. So that was really special. Well, the last time we really, truly had a really deep, meaningful contact with him was when we were living in Los Angeles.
Right.
And he came to our house for dinner, and we had this amazing close time with him.
And may have been at that time, we saw Leo a few days after I had an amazing dream. Leo was in a darkened room, and I remember there were a lot of people around, but we're all in the dark. And Leo was at some kind of an altar or podium or something, and it looked like he was making a little fire even. And there was this tiny little glow that was starting to happen as I was dreaming. The glow got brighter and brighter until it exploded into this powerful, bright light. And it was so overwhelming that I screamed out and woke myself and woke Joyce. And that's how I remember the dream. What I felt from the dream was that I couldn't handle it at that time. Okay. A couple of days later, Leo comes to visit us in our house, our apartment. I told him the dream. And his eyes went wide and his mouth went open. And he said that he had a dream for 3 different nights in a row that he was standing in a darkened room and he was trying to make a light on an altar. And each night, he never knew if the light was being seen by anybody. And on the 3rd night of his dream, we pieced it together, was the night I had my dream. Isn't that a miracle?
That's a miracle. It really is.
And we had to move away. Barry was doing a residency in Portland, and Leo, I was leaving USC to begin this whole amazing writing books and speaking to thousands.
Right.
You know, his life was just radically changing. And we never really got to, once he became famous, he was in such demand. But
we wrote.
Yeah, we wrote. We had some nice, beautiful communications. But that time of that with the dream, it was probably the most beautiful time ever with him.
Do you know, Karolyn, it was kind of like him passing the torch in a way to us, you know, saying, you know, I've given you all I can. Now you give what you can.
We didn't know that at the time. It's
Right.
we've like grown into that.
Yeah.
Tell me about some of the encounters and the breakthroughs you have had at your couples retreat. I bet it's absolutely rich.
Do you know what comes to mind? A couple came to one of our couples retreats, just a weekend retreat. And we didn't know this and they didn't know this, but each of them had just made an appointment with a divorce lawyer for Monday morning after the retreat. And they each had a separate appointment. They didn't know that each other had. The couples retreat was going to be their last attempt. And in the retreat, we encouraged them to be really vulnerable with their fears and their weakness and their everything about them, all of their feelings and their pain. And they just opened up so deeply that they connected for the first time in years and ended up canceling their appointments for the lawyers.
Wow.
It's miracles like that that keep us going.
That positive energy and all that love comes right back on you and makes you just stronger and stronger. You know,
It does.
I just think it's marvelous that you're able to do that.
Do you know, Karolyn, we start every couples retreat by having the couples face each other. Each person has 5 minutes to just speak all of the appreciation that they feel for their partner while their partner is silent. 5 minutes looking into each other's eyes, one person speaking their love and appreciation, all the things they value, all the things they love about their partner. And guess what? While the couples are doing it, we get to do it too.
Oh,
we love our work so deeply, and our prayers that we're 76, our prayers that, I don't know, we just keep going for many years. We love it, love it.
Wow.
Who wants to retire when you're loving what you're doing so much, right?
Oh, yes. You're getting a lot of love in return and it's giving you positive energy. I mean, it's a cycle that's just beautiful. I am so pleased and privileged that I got the opportunity to meet you today. I just think that you are disciples of love at this point in time. We need it more than ever. Yeah. And I congratulate you on what you are accomplishing. That's just wonderful.
Thank you so much. You're an amazing interviewer. Like, I think you drew out the best in us. And that honestly, that doesn't always happen. One time I got so upset with the interviewer, I left the room. And you draw out the best. Right. You're really excellent.
Exactly. Not every interviewer keeps it positive. You know, some people want to get into dirt and dark and, you know. And
some interviewers want to do all the talking and you don't even have a chance.
Right. Yeah, I know about that. Joyce and Barry, I've so enjoyed this today. As you said, you have too, and I'm so thankful for that. But it has been fascinating to learn so much about Leo. That's really something that's really a positive affirmation that love is what it's all about. And I think that's so great. So I want to thank you so much.
Thank you, it's been just wonderful for us.
Dr. Buscaglia once alluded to 3 things we all need: love, love, and love. Joyce and Barry Vissell have helped remind us of that very important message this Valentine's Day. Wherever you are and whoever you are with, we hope you have lots of love in your life this day and every day. We'll be right back with a special message from actors William Daniels and Bonnie Bartlett, who have been married since 1951. You won't want to miss it, so stay tuned.
Do you know someone who is earning their wings? Someone practicing kindness and service to others? Perhaps an organization or initiative helping make the world we live in a kinder, sweeter place.
Or maybe you've witnessed the miraculous, the divine, the magnificent in some way in your life, and you'd like to share it with others. Go to zuzunetwork.com/tellmystory and let us know more.
You may end up being featured on an upcoming episode of Zuzu All Grown Up. That's zuzunetwork.com/tellmystory.
Coming up next, actor William Daniels and Bonnie Bartlett have been in show business for over half a century. He's 97 and she's 95. They co-starred in the 1980s hit series St. Elsewhere. He played the wise Mr. Feeney on Boy Meets World and was the voice of Kit on Knight Rider. And she starred in Little House on the Prairie and the movie Twins. Perhaps even more impressive, having done their nuptials in 1951, they've been married almost 74 years, a rarity not only in Hollywood, but anywhere. They are here with a short message for Karolyn and Chris and all audience married, especially those just starting out or intending to be married one day.
Hello, Karolyn and Chris. It's Bill Daniels.
And I'm Bonnie Bartlett. And as you may know, we have been married since 1951.
If the two of you are just starting out, you may benefit from our experience, so you avoid the same mistakes we made.
Despite any difficulty, and I've written about a lot of them in my book, we have always managed to remain committed to each other.
And it's important to treat each other with respect.
Bill, I think that we are closer now than we've ever been, don't you think?
Well, let me think about that. Yeah, I suppose so.
Best wishes and good luck.
What a lovely message. Thank you, William and Bonnie. Karolyn, Dr. Chris, they refer to you like newlyweds, which I guess you are in their book. How long have you two been together?
We've been together a long time.
27 years.
27.
It has been a marvelous journey, and I cannot wait for the next 27 years, I guess.
Well, I remember when we met, you had never, ever seen the movie.
Oh my gosh.
It's a Wonderful Life.
That's right.
That was scary in the first place.
Yeah, I was in my 40s. I don't know exactly how old. But, what's funny is that you were in your 40s when you saw it for the first time. A lot of people don't know that.
That's true.
Well, but, you have to take it in consideration that, as a little girl, you went to go see the premiere. And, of course, as many little girls kind of do, they're going to just fall asleep. And it's not like you had VHSs or even, you wouldn't get 16 millimeter copies of it and everything like that. So it was just another movie that was, that you did.
Mm-hmm. Then one day some guy knocked on my door and he said, "Can I interview you? You were in the movie It's a Wonderful Life, right?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Okay, let's talk about it." So I said, "All right." So I told him my memories, and next week another guy comes to the door, and I'm thinking, what in the world is this all about? So I thought, well, maybe I better sit down and watch this film. And I did. And then I knew the magic. I knew what people were talking about. I knew Frank Capra's artistry. so many wonderful things. And that brought us together, and it's been a wonderful ride ever since.
And a lot of people say, thank you so much for keeping the spirit of this movie alive and going out and doing what you do. And I think that as time goes on, the more that I really appreciate that myself. I've really had the honor and pleasure of being able to be alongside you. I was going to say carrying your bags. I've been vicariously been able to see joy in people's eyes, excitement that they have in talking to you and in learning more, connecting to a movie that has meant so much to them all these years later.
It's a truly wonderful life. Thank you for being in my life.
What an inspiring discussion of long-lasting love this Valentine's. To all of our viewers, wherever you are, and whenever you are listening, we wish you a life filled with happiness and love.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Zuzu All Grown Up.
We hope you've been inspired to live your most wonderful life now and to help those around you do the same.
Remember, no matter what you're going through, no matter who you are, there are people who care about you, and your life makes a difference.
It is a wonderful life.
Check out ZuzuNetwork.com for more on today's and other episodes, including transcripts and merchandise you won't want to be without.
New episodes are coming soon.
For transcripts of today's broadcast, go to ZuzuNetwork.com/transcripts. Zuzu All Grown Up with your hosts Karolyn Grimes and Dr. Chris Brunel.
Announcer and guide Seth Kennedy.
Executive producer Kevin R. Stillmock.
Coordinating producer Holly Ann Way.
Technical producer Stella Joel.
Managing producer Karina Filatova. A Wonderful Land production.
In collaboration with Radio Wonderful.